It's time for Dodger baseball.
The Beane is out on the field. Get out the rye bread and the mustard this time, Grandma. It is a grand salami.
Curry way downtown. Bang! Bang! Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Oh, God! Stokely down the sideline. Can they catch him? Stokely! Wow!
Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
Welcome back to the Media Guide Podcast. I'm Alin, Beane, Chase Dulude onside.
Hello. just hit my head entering the studio. So I got into the spirit of talking about football by giving myself potential CTE later in life. So I'm doing great.
There you go. And for today's episode, we're going to be talking about like some of the new trends in commentary at the moment, particularly like pushing star players a lot. Chris Collinsworth much.
Oh God, I swear, listening to him talk on Sunday Night Football nowadays is. Yeah, it's more painful than the hit on the head I just took. Honestly, like I swear, every single time he says that looked a little Mahomey. Tony Romo too. They both do the exact same thing. They both just like they prop up Patrick Mahomes so much, it's insane. I get it. He's a phenomenal player, but like the Bills 49ers game this past Sunday when Amari Cooper passed it back to Josh Allen right on the goal line. Allen ran in for the touchdown. Hearing Collinsworth immediately related to Travis Kelce and Mahomes, like, dude, number one, they've never actually done that between the two of them. And number two is, like, why? Like,
See, the funny thing, I don't remember the Chiefs doing it. I remember that time the Titans did it against them with Mariota.
That's true.
I mean, it wasn't like a shovel pass, but it was just batted up in the air and he caught it. But
yeah,
like, same kind of deal.
Yeah, he caught it. I've seen instances where like Brett Favre did it once. I've seen an instance where Brad Johnson, when he was the quarterback of the Vikings back in I think the early 2003, 2004, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Because wasn't Brett Favre's first completion to himself?
It was to himself. It was a loss of 4 yards. So, I mean, I think it would have been more appropriate if it was an interception. But I mean, a loss of 4 yards. I mean, it's still really funny.
Yeah,
especially in hindsight, knowing how good he became. But back to the commentary, like, just. I don't know really a good way to describe what they do, but like everything has to be like related to one of the stars of the NFL. Every time a quarterback has a really good run, it's immediately related to Lamar Jackson, or like in the past when Lamar was getting started up, it was immediately Michael Vick. And with Amari Cooper, Josh Allen, like I mentioned, to Mahomes and Kelce, everyone just wants to, I guess, connect like the fans to maybe like the superstars of the league if they're not like a fan of them, but at the same time it just comes across as pandering to that fan base and nothing more.
Yeah. I guess to play a little bit of devil's advocate, I just thought of this, like what if it's like a way to like compare players in a way, because that's like one of the big parts about sports, like is this player better than this player, can this player do what this player does, and like kind of having that live comparison.
Well, that's what stats are for in my opinion. Like examining individual plays and like trying to relate it to another player. I get it if said player has done a similar thing, but at the same time, when you're doing it to the same player over and over and over, like the fact that Mahomey has become a term that people actually use when other people have done this stuff. Maybe not as efficiently or as well as Patrick Mahomes has, but like you don't have to mention it every single time.
That's true, but to go back to the stats point a little bit, stats don't show everything.
They do not.
Standing in the pocket and throwing a 4-yard incompletion shows up the same as running around for 30 yards and then throwing a ball 40 yards downfield and your receiver drops it. They're both incompletions.
That is true. I mean, running around 40 yards and then throwing like down the center of the field and the receiver dropping it, that's a little Jackson-y. But yeah, at this point, it's just I get it. Mahomes, Kelsey, they've made some incredible plays, but broadcast after broadcast after broadcast getting the exact same thing over and over. Because I can tell you one thing, you might just equate it to the dominance of the Chiefs. No, not at all. Because think of the Patriots. I cannot recall a time where, like in the 2010s, there would be a Sunday night broadcast on and a quarterback would just launch it straight down the field or like throw check down after check down with perfect accuracy or like bomb it over the middle and just somehow fit it in there. I never heard once someone say, "Oh, that looked Tom Brady-like." Like I never heard that.
Yeah, I think that's a new strategy with the NFL, like pushing their stars a lot more.
Yeah, it's not even pushing their stars because like you don't see. I mean, I guess it's a bit harder to compare anyone to Lamar Jackson because what he can do is honestly so far removed from any other quarterback in the league. And honestly, same thing with Josh Allen and his scrambling ability. But I've seen a lot of, or actually no, that kind of doesn't work. But the only player that they compare to are Travis Mahomes. Or Travis
Mahomes.
Concussion, ladies and gentlemen. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Those are the two that just get compared to over and over and over and over again. And it's pretty obvious why.
Watch that be the name of Patrick Mahomes' first son.
Oh, God. Like, kill me now.
Oh, God. Chase, you spoke into existence. This is your fault.
Oh, no. But... Yeah, honestly, it just like at this point, when you hear it over and over, it starts to just get repetitive and boring. It's like, as soon as I watched that play, I was like super hype about the play, but I knew exactly what was going to happen when Mike Tirico stopped talking and Chris Collinsworth was going to come on. It's, oh, that looked a little Mahomey. He kind of subverted my expectations a little bit by relating it to Kelsey first. Hey, unique change of pace there, but at this point, it's really hard to defend the NFL against the allegations, considering how much they both prop up the Chiefs and help them in games.
Yeah, that fucking Raiders game pissed me off.
Oh my gosh, that was the first thing I saw when I got off my flight to Vegas. Was the exact play you're thinking of?
Yeah, it was like the false start.
Yep.
That was called back because it was ruled a fumble for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Just like fucking hide it at least.
It's there's an entire rabbit hole to go down there, but in terms of just commentators, they definitely have started trying to prop up their marketable players more, but it's definitely more significant with Mahomes and anything the Chiefs do.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Well, I mean, NFL is not the only guilty party. Like, look at the MLB with Shohei Ohtani during the
gosh.
playoffs.
I could not believe that it was real when that graphic came up.
The 8 batters away.
Yeah, 8 batters away to Ohtani. Like, have you seen that for anyone on any broadcast ever? Not once. Not even Ohtani before this. They wanted to pump that up so much. That's why we were talking in our sports reporting class a couple weeks ago about the MLB. What they were hoping for is a Dodgers-Yankees World Series so they could promote the Judge v. Ohtani matchup. And that's exactly what they did. Now, both of those guys sucked ass in the World Series. They both were terrible. And I am genuinely surprised that they actually gave Freddie Freeman World Series MVP there. He deserved it. I am just shocked they did not give it to Ohtani just for the metrics alone. I guess they realized how bad. Like, he had a World Series MVP locked up if he even hit 250 in that World Series.
Yeah, I feel like it was solely because of that game 1 walk-off.
Like
that was the only reason Freddie won.
Well,
which
no,
is sad to say.
Freddie had a couple of other great moments. He was fantastic, but I agree though.
They wouldn't have given it to him.
No, they would not have. He did make a legendary play there, to be fair. I mean, he deserved it 100%. But that Ohtani up to bat graph is just
Well, to relate the World Series back to commentary a little bit, kind of a trend I've noticed, because Joe Buck, of course, isn't doing the World Series anymore. I don't know the name of the guy that's replaced him, but I actually kind of like him.
Joe Davis.
Joe Davis, yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool, because I especially like the start the party Los Angeles call that he had, and like last year, what was it? No, it wasn't 23. It's happened. The Rangers won.
It's happened! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
That call was really cool. I really like his commentary. I think what he has to read off a lot of the time just comes across as the same kind of pandering that you see with like Mahomes and the Chiefs. For example, he like every time that Ohtani up to bat graph came on, he mentioned it like he was like he had to do it, like it was almost an ad.
Yeah.
And it just was really annoying to watch.
Speaking of advertisements, this podcast is sponsored by. Yeah, right. We're not sponsored yet.
No, not quite. By ROC Reno, where I'm going to be going after this.
Nice. There you go. Sponsored by Rick's Pizza, Beer, and More, maybe, eventually.
to drink myself to sleep at night after the Packers choke in the NFC Championship game yet again.
Exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, MLB and NFL are definitely the biggest culprits. I haven't watched the NBA a whole lot. Have you? Let's skip over it, then.
I haven't. However, I have watched more than my fair share of ESPN, and it has become a joke at this point to where everything is, how will this affect LeBron's legacy? Every single time, especially ever since he got signed by the Lakers. I genuinely want to say that part of the reason why the other leagues are doing this is they're kind of following off of the NBA's lead, because, like it or not, I have a hard time describing the NBA as a team sport, because the emphasis on individuality is significantly higher within the NBA than within any other sports league, because anyone can score any amount of points they would like as long as they just get the ball. So people want the ball, or they want to stop people from shooting the ball. It's pretty much every player has their individual role, and seeing as there are fewer players on the court than in most other sports, it ends up placing an emphasis on individuality, and it leads to a lot of their stars just getting kind of pumped up by the media again and again and again. I mean, I get it for LeBron, because I think it's 1A, 1B between him and Jordan, personally, in terms of greatest players of all time.
Really?
Just those two had an impact on the game that will be felt for years to come. And still are now, really. Not in terms of ownership, though, because both those guys are not very good at picking their teammates. That let's be clear there. I understand why they would want to promote those guys, but I think you can see in the difference between those two just how like advertising has evolved over the years. Because if Michael Jordan played today, he would get the same level of promotion that LeBron is getting now. He got a lot more than maybe a lot of other NBA stars back in the day, but that's because he's Michael Jordan. That's just, it comes with the territory.
But nowadays it's insane.
Yeah, it's definitely ramped up, and it makes sense because you look at these leagues, they're multi-billion-dollar like juggernauts in global industries, and they have impact all across the world in regular culture. Like, a lot of people who don't even watch sports know who these players are, and that's kind of what the leagues want to do, is they want to promote their most marketable players. Obviously, relating back to the NFL, with the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift connection, I mean, that's a whole untapped market of people who have likely never watched the NFL before. I mean, one of our like closest friends, he started getting into the NFL because of that connection in combination with one of his classes relating to the logos. He's not necessarily like an NFL fan, but he's definitely more so aware of it. And that's just what the leagues want to do. It's just marketing practices. And it's annoying for us, like the passionate like sports fans that watch those leagues, because we don't need that pandering. We just want the game. But the pandering is in there for more the casual people, and I understand why they do it. And you know what? If I were in their position, I would probably do the same thing. I would probably push the Mahomes and the Kelseys. I would probably push the Dallas Cowboys so that everyone can laugh at their failure.
I mean, yeah, I get it, because like, if I was going to advertise this podcast, I'm not going to advertise the boring 30-second gap in sound that we always do. I'm going to promote the exciting fun part where we're yelling at each other about our teams.
Yeah.
It's like that same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to get us to start yelling at each other, considering
Exactly.
we're fans of teams that are equal levels of failure in the exact same division somehow.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but
considering it took us 3 minutes in the first episode to do that.
yeah, we got to it very quickly. I think it's just trying to one up each other because we both know our teams are at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, we're not below the A's, let's be honest, because that team is a mess beyond words. So
Listen, we didn't have the best pitching staff in baseball and missed the playoffs, okay? We didn't have expectations at all.
we didn't let Shohei Ohtani walk and fail to get him into the playoffs once over the span of, 7 years? And then watch him win a World Series the second he leaves.
Okay, first off, it was 6 years.
Wow, that ain't any better, buddy. Anyway, Angels-Mariners rant aside. But I completely get why these leagues want to do that. It's just frustrating from a true fan perspective, because that's not what we want to hear. We want to hear how amazing this player is, not how this player compares to XYZ popular player, and equating that. I guess it's a high level of praise for that player to reach, but it more so pumps up the bar of where the player they're relating to is at. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, no, it's annoying, but it's big business. It makes sense.
Yeah. You gotta push what people are buying. Gotta push what people are there for.
Yeah. And I mean, especially with baseball's growth in Japan in recent years, I mean, they've been hosting games there. I mean, ever since Ichiro came over from Japan and had a legendary career, the sport of baseball has been significantly more popular in Japan than ever before. And with Shohei, I will say I don't think the MLB marketed Ichiro like they necessarily should have, because you look at his career and it's absolutely absurd. I mean, he won league MVP in his first season, essentially his rookie season. That does not happen ever. And I mean, he propelled that team to 116 wins.
Yeah, how did that go?
Fuck you. But yeah, they didn't promote that as much as they probably should have at the time. A lot of it, I will be honest, is the Mariners being shit, being absolutely terrible. And I think a lot of that happened with Shohei when he was on the Angels, not even trying to rip on the Angels, but it's a lot harder to market those players when their teams are shit and they don't make it to October. They don't make it to the playoffs.
No, I completely agree. Why would you support a winning ball club like that? That doesn't work in a media strategy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they pushed Shohei so hard with the Dodgers. Now, granted, I will say I think this season was probably his best season.
No, you think?
Yeah.
It was.
I don't think that's a hot take to say.
I mean, definitely. I mean, the only argument I have against that is he didn't pitch.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
best hitting season.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's no argument.
No, I mean, he was phenomenal, and the MLB pounced on that naturally. They brought him to the same level of media hype that they did with Aaron Judge when Judge was in the middle of his home run chase, because I'll never forget ESPN interrupting college football broadcasts
Oh God.
in the middle of the games in order to show him get intentionally walked repeatedly again and again and again. That happened over and over.
That just pisses me off. Too many chicken shit pitchers in the American League.
I know. Just I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
be the answer to the trivia question. Like
Exactly.
if I were a fringe pitcher in the league, like honestly, I would kind of want to be the one that gives up number 62.
Exactly, because at least your name is there.
Yeah, your name's attached to that moment forever.
Who the hell gave it up? I know it was someone on the Rangers.
Yeah, it was the Rangers, but again, the fact that we know that the Rangers were terrible that year, but you immediately recognize like the team it happened against. That is like forever.
Jesus Tinoco.
Yep.
That's who it was. See, I would never have heard that name.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the fact that he gave up that home run.
Yeah, he gave up number 62. That's kind of what the marketing strategy is, obviously, like promote your best players on your best teams. And that's why Mahomes and Kelsey get so much attention on like even irrespective of the Taylor Swift stuff. Because that was just an added boon that they certainly did not need.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can say with just some experience with one that they didn't market as much. Simone Biles, because yep, she's married to a player that was on my team last year, Jonathan Owens. He was kind of a fringe role player, like backup safety. He had a couple of really good plays. He now plays for the Bears, which is really funny considering Biles still wears her Packers stuff to Bears games because it has her husband's like number on it.
Interesting.
It's really funny to watch. She's a really sweet person, so like I was fine like with her being there. She was a positive presence, and it was nice to see Jonathan Owens getting a bigger role because I like seeing those stories.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not promote Simone Biles, arguably the greatest gymnast of all time, in nearly the same way that they have Taylor Swift.
Well, yeah, one makes money, one does gymnast stuff. Like, there's a big difference.
But it's also who they're, like, in a relationship with.
True.
Because one, you got a fringe role player, and the other, you got arguably the league's best tight end who is catching, like, stupidly good, like, backyard football shit from one of the arguably the league's best quarterback. Not this season, but over the past few years.
Yeah.
I may not like the Chiefs.
We can acknowledge they're good.
Yeah, we can acknowledge that they have some of the greatest plays maybe of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, their success speaks for itself. They're going for a three-peat, like, and they've won 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. It's not a
welcome to the new dynasty.
Yeah, we're back in the Patriots era, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But the NFL did not promote Simone Biles in nearly the same way. You would have never guessed that she was there. She almost never got shown on the broadcast. Taylor Swift gets shown every single time Travis Kelce catches a pass. Like Jonathan Owens on Thanksgiving, national television, like against the Lions last year, he got a pick six or fumble recovery for a touchdown in the first quarter. Simone Biles was at that game. They didn't show her on camera like right after the play. They like showed, I think it was like 10 minutes later, like right before they went to commercial, they showed her like cheering like after the play. Mm-hmm. They like saved that for later. Whereas with Taylor Swift, they perpetually have a camera over there looking at her to swap whenever Travis Kelce makes a play.
It's to the point where if the camera operators don't have at least one camera on Taylor Swift, I'm pretty sure one of them will be executed.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much how it works at this point. But honestly, it's like with the difference between Biles and Swift, both of them I don't think there are many people that are as ingrained in popular culture as Taylor Swift is, but Simone Biles is no slouch. I think it just has to do with the perfect storm of circumstances for the NFL,
Right.
with one of, if not the most famous singers of all time, starting a relationship with one of the league's best players.
Yeah, that's just perfect timing. So we talked a little bit about how annoying this kind of strategy is, like pushing all your top player, like shoving it down people's throats so much, like down Chris Collinsworth's throat. But
Pretty much.
I guess like another thing I want to talk about is like what are some of the alternatives to that? It's like still keeping like that same level of intrigue and stuff in the sports, because that's the entire reason they're doing it. So if we're going to propose an alternative, it has to get to at least a similar level of popularity for the league.
The alternative is don't do it as much. Like, you can use like Taylor Swift in marketing all you want. You can post it on social media, do all that good jazz. And I have no problem with seeing her on a broadcast. I have no problem with seeing fans on broadcasts either. The way I see it is that you can show Taylor Swift after like Travis Kelce scores a touchdown, or like after he catches a pass, but don't always just do Taylor Swift and then go right back to the action. Show some of the fans, show some of the grown men in the dumbest costumes imaginable cheering on their team. Like, those are the people that obviously we're not going to stop watching the NFL just because of that.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to be represented in a broadcast because that's been the tradition for broadcasts for years. It's
Right.
very rare that they show celebrities except in like a segment. Like, a lot of the times you look at the Los Angeles Rams whenever they play at home. You'll see a lot of the time, you'll see like LeBron James, you'll see like Will Ferrell, you'll see these popular LA celebrities at the game. You don't see them after every single touchdown pass. You don't see them after like every single time the Rams do something good. You see
Right.
them like once and that's it. And you don't see whenever another player scores a touchdown, you'll see maybe if they're lucky enough to have their family there, the TV crew will find the family and show some footage of them, like celebrating or whatnot. You'll see that sort of stuff. You don't see it after every single instance of the player in question doing something good. You do with Taylor Swift. And that is why it is so infuriating, is because like she's an inoffensive presence there. It's not like she's starting a protest at every single game she's at or anything like that.
Right.
It's not like she's playing a concert at every single halftime of every single game she's at. She's a fan that's there because of the relationship with her boyfriend.
Exactly.
So, and obviously she's famous, so the NFL should acknowledge that, but not every single freaking time. And the one thing you never see, ever, for any other team, any other player, is a team, like a player's family in like the post-game credits sequence, like of the best plays from the game, or like people celebrating, all that stuff, like right at the end of the broadcast. I do not think I've seen a game where Taylor Swift has been at where there has not been a clip of her jumping around celebrating in that post-game trailer. Like, I have never seen a game that the Chiefs have won that she's been at where that hasn't been present.
Hot take. That's not a top play from the game.
Yeah, it's not. And you don't see other fans, hell, you don't see other celebrities get that treatment. I don't even think, because obviously we know, like, let's relate it to the NBA for a second. Probably the most famous fan of any basketball team is Spike Lee with the New York Knicks. Like, he's become ingrained with the Knicks because of incidents from the 90s. I cannot verify because I don't think I've ever watched a Knicks broadcast, but I don't believe that, even if I'm wrong here, I don't believe Spike Lee is ever featured in those sequences. And I don't think he gets, like, because he's friends with a lot of the players, I don't think he gets shown after every single bucket that like one of his closest friends on the Knicks scores. Let's say even in the 2010s, let's say Carmelo Anthony. I don't think he got shown on screen every single time Carmelo Anthony scored points.
Right.
Because that's just not how it works.
Not a thing that happens.
So it's just irritating for the NFL to do that with Taylor Swift. And it's even more irritating because it's the Chiefs. They're the team that dominates, and they're the team that wins all the time, whether they deserve to or not.
Yeah. So basically, the whole idea is like what you're getting is like tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, just tone it down, take a step back, make it so that your fans are not being pretty much forgotten.
Alienated.
Exactly. Or for someone who has never been an NFL fan, because they're just sending the message that they care more about the fans they don't have than the fans they do have, which, let's be honest, I think that's every business. You care inherently more when you become a successful business. You care inherently more about people that have never been to your business or like don't frequent it, more so than the people you are pretty certain are always going to be there, unless you do something incredibly stupid. So that's pretty much where the NFL is at. They're caring more about the fans they don't have than the fans they do have, which, I mean, it shows itself in Taylor Swift. The fact that they have averted from showing the normal fans or like of the Chiefs, as they would have done even when they were winning before last season. They show Taylor Swift every single time, which makes it seem like they care more about the fame, fortune, and the new fan base that they can grow than the fan base they currently have.
Well, there you go. Professional sports leagues, NFL, NBA, and MLB. Take notes from Chase Dulude over here.
Yeah, I'm definitely an expert, and I'm definitely not a guy that gets a concussion from falling off a chair. Not whatsoever. Still less painful than watching the Mariners.
That's a fun way to cap off this episode. So, Chase, you got anything you want to plug here right at the end?
No, sir. Just happy to be here. Happy to continue this even past the assignment point. Yeah. Honestly, I've had a good time here.
Awesome. Yeah, at Chase Dulude on Twitter if you really want to.
Yeah. If you want to, I mean, it's optional. Please do. I have no life.
And as for my stuff, at @beanball_broadcast on YouTube. That is an E at the end of Beane. Please do not forget that I will be mad at you. Everywhere else, RSJ String Bean on Twitter, String Bean RSJ everywhere else. And Blue Sky is eventually going to be here on the way, but there's still threads out of spite.
Exactly.
Never fails to make you laugh. All right, that's the end of this episode for this week. We'll be back in about 2 weeks' time if I decide to do this again.
Sounds good.
So, thank you guys for listening, watching. I was about to say watching, but we don't have video yet.
Yeah, they are blind, just like the refs.
Exactly. All righty, have yourselves a good rest of your week, month, whatever.